Welcome to your guide on what to do with an offer when you're selling your house. This is like one of the best parts of this entire series is when you get that offer when you're selling your house. And I'm here with Ashton. And Ashton's already told us in some previous videos that her spirit neighborhood in Atlanta is Ansley Park and in the country is Charleston, South Carolina. And so, Ashton, I won't ask you any more questions about that. We appreciate you being back. And now we know what neighborhood you would be if you were a neighborhood. So let's get right into this because this is one of the most fun parts, typically, as long as it's not a lowball offer. But when we get an offer, what's the first thing that we do? What's the first thing people say? How do they react? We got an offer. What happens next?
Absolutely. Well, it is the most exciting part because you can't sell the house if you don't get an offer, right?
Yes.
Even if it's not the best offer at first. What I always say is, hey, it's a starting point. So let's figure out what we can do, because generally we've got a buyer who wants to buy and a seller who wants to sell, and an agent who wants to help make it work. So that's what we need to get a deal done ultimately. So from that perspective, the first thing that's going to happen is I'm going to be in receipt of that offer. I'm going to get that offer. I'm going to have a conversation. Before I have a conversation with you as the seller, I'm going to have a conversation with the agent that's bringing the offer to me. And I want to get information, just as they probably have gotten from me prior to making the offer. I want to get information about what's most important to that buyer, why they offered where they did. If there are some terms I'm concerned about in the offer, I'm going to review those. And I'm going to have reviewed the offer in full detail and have had that conversation in nearly every scenario prior to sending that over to the seller. So I'm going to send that over to the seller as soon as I have had that conversation, and from there, we're going to have a different type of conversation around the offer that was received. So we're going to go through every line item in the offer so that the seller understands exactly what everything is, what everything means, and then we're going to strategize on the best path forward. And, one thing I'll say is we always want to begin with the end in mind as far as the negotiation with an offer. Where do we ultimately want to land? Because where we ultimately want to land will indicate where we need to be today, and how we respond to this offer. So from that perspective, that is, that's going to be how it'll roll. And then there is going to likely be an offer deadline for our response as the seller side on that offer. So we will need, if we want to make a response to that offer, we will have to do so by that deadline.
So you mentioned if you want to make a response, and I think there's really kind of three different types of offers. Maybe let's take a quick look at each of these. There's when you have multiple offers. I mean, that's a different scenario. There's you have one offer and it's a decent offer. And then there's what most people would probably call lowball offer, or an offer well below asking price. Let's look at those three just real quickly. If you have multiple offers, what's different about that than when you just have one offer?
Yes. So it really depends on what judgment call we've made so far and what the seller's goals are. But generally, if more than one offer is received, we've got a couple of options as far as how we may move forward. We can, if we are in receipt with multiple offers, we can call for best and final offers to be all submitted by a certain day at a certain time. That's the most fair option, and generally the one that we advise when we have a few offers in hand, so that the seller can allow everyone an opportunity to make an offer first and foremost, as well as any existing offers to strengthen their offer terms. It's also a great opportunity for us from a seller side perspective to tell the buyer side what's most important to us about the offers that we're reviewing, or about the terms that the seller really desires. So that's an option for us to to let them know that information at a deeper level. So when call for best and final offers, We generally give a little bit of time for everybody to submit those offers. And then the seller, once we get all those offers in hand, I'm going to break them all down for the seller, send them all to the seller, and we're going to have a conversation about any of their favorites, and of course answer any questions that they have around those. The neat thing about it is you have options. That's the best thing about the multiple offers, and the seller still has the same options as they would with any other offer that's received, and they can accept them. They can deny all of them if they wanted to do so. They can also counter any of them if they choose to do so. Now, it is assumed that those are the best and final offers. So generally, there's not much additional negotiation that takes place. However, if we needed to clean up or button up some terms, or if two offers were really, really close and we needed to finalize the decision, we could counter in order to get there.
Definitely. And what about, so that is obviously best case scenario.
Best case scenario.
That's best case scenario. Second best case scenario is, hey, you got an offer. It's a good offer. Obviously, the people want the house, but there's just one of them. When you see that, is there typically a lot of negotiation on that, or do people submit offers that they expect to be accepted? What happens when you have one offer and it's a good offer?
Yeah, sometimes it might be so good of an offer that the seller wants to take it. I think it really depends on the time on market. How long have we been on the market? How strong is the offer actually? Again, beginning with the end in mind, is this offer where they want to land? And really strategizing, where do we think this person is trying to get to? Where is this buyer trying to get? If they offered $500,000 on a 525 house, where are they really trying to land? And us kind of getting that information from the buyer's agent for one, but also strategizing together on how that buyer really is going to ultimately want to see this and what their walkaway point's going to be. So we want to strategize from that perspective and come up with the best possible proposal that is likely to get accepted. Sometimes that's in one round of negotiation. Sometimes it's in 2 or 3 rounds of negotiation. Again, on a case-by-case basis, we really want to identify where do we feel like that's going to be so that we do help set the seller up for success.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, most cases, people are not submitting an offer like that. Take that example, 525 to 500, expecting it to be accepted as is. I mean, most people have an expectation that the seller is going to negotiate with them.
Yeah, some negotiation is generally expected. If somebody makes an offer like that on the first day on market, they may not get a response because of the time on market. However, I generally advise my clients, no matter how bad the offer is in our eyes, to make a response, because I've seen gaps of $200,000, come together towards an accepted contract.
Yeah, well,
because you just never know what's. So, yeah, go ahead.
I mean, that's a great segue into what if an offer is really low? I mean, is it best to tell them to go away and come back? Do you want to counter it? And how do you decide what to do when an offer is obviously a price that the seller is not going to take? Is it worth their time?
Yeah. A wise lady once told me, a wise mentor of mine once told me, always counter. Always counter.
Why did she say that? What's the theory behind that?
You can't get a deal done unless you do counter. And an offer in hand that doesn't work out is better than no offer at all at the end of the day. And the thing about offers is we never know when we're going to get another one, or if we're going to get another one. So it's always a bird in the hand's worth 2 in the bush. So we always want to go ahead and make a counter, even if we have a feeling that it won't work out.
And so you make a counter, but I would assume if the offer is really low, you probably really need them to make a move at some point. So you're probably not going to come to your bottom line right off the bat.
Yeah, what we're going to do is strategically go back as low as possible, or as little as possible on our negotiation, to just keep the ball moving. And you might have 2 or 3 or 4 rounds of negotiations with that strategy if they are a low ball. And sometimes we might even just have a conversation with the buyer's agent. Where are you trying to land? Where are we actually looking to land, and have that straightforward conversation so that we can get to the finish line at a quicker pace. Because every day that goes by, that we don't have an accepted deal, we lose momentum. The thing about offers is we want to have as much urgency and momentum behind them. So responding quickly and negotiating aggressively is a great strategy to get things wrapped up.
So if we have an offer and it doesn't get worked out, is that public knowledge? Does that hurt future offers? I mean, what's the downside of getting offers that don't work out?
Yeah, it's obviously a bummer when they don't work out, and for everybody involved. And yet, the great thing about it is nobody knows. It's not public knowledge. Nobody knows what the offer was, whether we had an offer. None of that is public knowledge. Now, people may ask. And of course we have, different strategies on how we handle those type of situations. However, in most cases, hey, we didn't get a deal done. We didn't get to the finish line with the offer and couldn't meet on specific terms, and that's okay. Offers don't get worked out all the time. However, we don't want to be the reason why they don't get worked out. We want to do everything we can to move something forward.
Cool. So what is the one secret piece of advice that you would give to help people navigate the process of getting and working out an offer?
Yeah, so I would say be open to different strategies that maybe are a little unconventional, because there's so many paths on how we can get to the finish line, and every home and every situation is so specific that we want to craft that best solution for them, specifically with that offer. And then the last one, one other tie on to that is, always counter, because you just never know. And it's hard to take that emotion out of it. Sometimes we just need to sleep on it, or give it a little bit of time before we make a response, because everybody's just trying to get the best deal for them. And when we come at it from that perspective, it helps us have a little bit better of a level head when responding.
Yeah, I absolutely love that advice. I think that's great. All right. Well, everyone, let's get our offers worked out. Ashton, thanks for your expertise. We will see you guys on the next one. Bye, Ashton.
All right. See you soon. Bye-bye.